Hi, we got an order to make a barn door. Usually when we get a new order, new custom order, I like to draw it up on SketchUp so we have all the dimensions, a nice clear picture. We could have it for future reference. But for a door, I figure we just do a sketch on paper. So I drew up this sketch for the door. It's pretty pathetic, but it's I have the measurements on it and kind of the idea what it's going to look like. So this is what I'm going to use. Let's see if it turns out a little bit better than my sketch. For this project, I'm going to be using my Dado set, 8-inch Dado set, that we'll be putting into our R4520 Ridgid table saw, and we'll be making some grooves and tongue and grooves and dado to make this door. So let's get to it. And we get our Dado Stack all set up into the table saw with feather board there as well. And I'm making my through dado or through groove on the sort of frame of the door, and then all the chevron boards that make up the panel are all tongue and groove. I didn't show you that part. I somehow missed recording that, of course, but it was the same process, just setting up the Dado Stack so that we can make the tongue and groove, and it went really quick and easy. And then once I got my angle all figured out, what would look nice, we start cutting all the pieces the same length, except for the last top ones and last bottom ones. I left that for last, but these are all the main ones that will comprise most of the door panel. So it makes it easy job when you have one that's cut the right size and length. I just use it as a template to cut out all the rest of the boards. As you can see here as I stack them all up. So now it's time to sort of dry fit them in. Let's make sure they all fit. A little handsaw there to trim one end. And we get all the rest. One of them was a bit tight for whatever reason. And I just wanted to make sure that it all lines up nicely. We dry fit, clamp it, make sure it fits. So for the other boards that I had to cut at the end, I forgot to mention that we did a rustic look for this door. And what we did was we used a tool that we purchased recently. It's called the Restorer. This has a wire brush on it, and you'll see at the end what kind of look it gives to the boards. It gives it sort of a rustic, worn look. As you can see here, it has to be cleaned up, of course, but it makes nice little grooves. And then it's a matter of finishing the top and the bottom just to get the right fit of those last little pieces to fit in there. So I'm just marking to how far they need to come to, and then that way I'm able to cut the last pieces down so that they all fit into the grooves. So the door itself is 1.5 inches thick on the frame, and then the boards that make up the panel are 1 inch thick, so it'll be a nice, good, solid door in the end. So here I'm just cutting down the pieces so that they all fit at the bottom and at the top. And the other side, using an angle. Now the cool thing with doing a dry fitting is that I don't even know what that angle was. I think it was around 30. But when you're just dry fitting and you're just eyeballing what looks good, then you don't really need to measure all the angles and everything. I just eyeball it, I dry fit it, I work off the piece itself to see where I need to cut off, and essentially the angles are not important. Now if I ever want to rebuild it, if I want it to look the same, then I will need to know the angles. As you probably noticed at the beginning, I did have a protractor there, and I did measure the angle. It was 30, and that was just so I know where to set my saw at. Otherwise, I could have done it just by marking where I thought it would look good on over top when I did the dry fit, or setting them all up on top. I could have just did a mark to say the angle and just line up the blade, but I actually did a little check to see where it was. So it was 30 degrees, so that if I do want to make another door that looks the same, then I at least know the size. So here it is. We're almost finished dry fitting the whole door, so now I can put it all into place, clamp it up to make sure that everything will fit tight once we do the glue up. And the glue, I mean, it's very simple, just adding glue to the joints of the frame only. Didn't glue any of the chevron tongue and groove. They're all loose fitting within the frame, just like your regular panel doors that if you were to make cabinets and panel doors. So loose fitting tongue and groove, and we just glued a frame together. So that's what it looks like before I glued it. I wanted to make sure again that it all looked the right way. That looks a little bit different than my little sketch that I made on the paper, but it's the same idea, right? So now we are doing because they wanted a rustic look but whitewashed as well. So we're doing an undercoat of gray, and here we're actually using a weathered accelerator, weathered wood accelerator. So that's why I'm kind of, my spray technique isn't your typical spray technique if you were doing stain, because this stuff really soaks in when you spray it on. If this was stained, it would have been dark as I was putting it on, but this just tends to soak in. I mean, essentially it is just vinegar and some iron in it. This was a purchased one, so there's probably some other, some other elements within it. But generally, it's a vinegar, iron, like your steel wool that breaks down in vinegar, and you can use that as well to get a similar look. So, as you can see, as time goes by, it starts off light, but it gets darker and darker gray as you leave it on to a point where it looks nicely like barn weathered wood. I noticed a couple of patches where either it soaked in more or I didn't put enough, so I'm just sort of touching up in the areas that looked a little bit lighter than the rest of the areas. Again, this is sort of just the undercoat to give a bit of a gray look, so again, didn't have to be perfect. And here's what it looks like once it's dried. It's a little bit more gray. And to give you an example of the final look of the table, we're going to put some paint here. Of course, I didn't have a brush to use, so I'm just throwing it on just to see what it'll look like and make sure we get the right look. To kind of give you an idea. And here's Brenda doing the actual look. Now at first we thought they wanted more gray to come through, but they said they wanted some gray, but they preferred to have it a bit more on the white side just to match their decor. So that's why you can still see gray come through at certain areas, but generally it's more of a white door. That concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you liked it. If you did, of course, it's a good time to hit that like button. And if you're new to this channel and you did like what you see here and you'd like to see more, of course, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell, and you'll get notified every time we have a new video. And of course, if you want to, you can check out our website at dustyworkbench.com for blogs and resources and everything woodworking and woodworking business information. We're trying to add more and relevant information there as we go along, as well as we have dustyworkbench.ca for those who live in the Ottawa, Ontario, Canada region. Of course, we're showing you things that we make. We do sell that furniture. Most of it is already sold because it is custom orders and we build them as we go. But we are, of course, open to take new custom orders. So check us out, dustyworkbench.com if you're interested in just woodworking information, dustyworkbench.ca if you're looking to buy some furniture if you live in the Ottawa region. All right, talk to you later.